and a bar of soap. But if you choose wisely, you will hear conversations like this. How come the kids can go in the Lego shop and I can't? Have we changed our fabric softener? Because I'm having a tremendous amount of belly button fluff. While the kids are asleep, let's just sit here and stop being parents for a bit. If the kids are awake, you will hear things like this. Mum, do you think fish enjoy peeing in the sea as much as Dad does? I'm not being emotional. I'm 4. Now, don't forget the grandparents of the shopping centres, because they've kind of got a special World War II sugar twist on wisdom. There's 2 types of single people. Them that sleep on the centre of the bed, and them that don't. And time seems to have etched love on and in them in ways I've yet to feel. It's the little things I miss. He'd always leave enough water in my kettle for the morning cuppa. Now, I know people look down their noses at us eavesdropping hobbyists. I get it. At the very least, it's a worrying pastime for someone who isn't a character in Last of the Summer Wine. And so for this reason, when I started, I didn't really tell anyone. Eventually I told my friend Terry. Technically speaking, he's not my friend. He's my therapist. Laugh it up. I know Terry the therapist, but he's the first real world example of alliterative determinism. He's like Thomas the Tank Engine, but real. I told him because have you been on smoking? I told him because that's sort of what you do in therapy, and the whole eavesdropping thing was kind of sort of his fault. You see, I'd said to him, this is a poignant moment now, I'd said to him that when I was younger, that how I used to think that how I thought was wrong. Not that there was anything particularly wrong about what I thought, but that I thought wrong. Like I wanted to see inside people's heads, not for the what, just this how. Like I'm sure the technology is available to do it now, but it was Ireland in the 80s. As a nation, we were still getting excited and confused by Smash. The potato in a packet. I told Terry about this desire, and he said, if you want to know how people think, listen to how they speak. I know, how to be a counsellor 101. Listen to people. But it got the ball rolling, and I started going to the shopping centre on a Saturday. And I didn't tell him at first because I didn't want him turning it into a therapy thing. And I was pretty sure shopping centres on a Saturday weren't going to be cathartic. Not unless you particularly get off on rage. So I told him about the eavesdrop, and I told him about writing down the sentences. And he asked me to bring some of the overheards in, or as he likes to call them, my therapeutic verbatim experiment. I know, a bit too la-di-da, but I've been told would look wonderful on Arts Council application form. So I left a load with him one week, and I came back the next week, and he gave me some feedback, like it was a writer's group. Said that they were all angry and patronising and loud. I said to him, all the other overheards on Facebook were like that. He said to me, if all the other overheards on Facebook jumped off a bridge, would I jump off a bridge? He claimed that maybe the reason I was only hearing the loud was because that's how I was looking at the world. So he set me this challenge, to go back and to listen differently. I didn't know there was other options. He said to listen for the soft. I know it's a bit vague, but I went back to listen for these soft sentences, and this was weeks before I heard anything that was permitted by Terry's ambiguous criteria. And then I heard it just over to the left. Medically speaking, onions will only get you so far. My ears popped like on a plane, like one of the proper swelling emotions. You know, like emojis will never properly be able to describe, and then I thought, WTF, wide-eyed, ghostly, perplexed, smiley. How's this meant to help me? Medically speaking, onions will only get you so far. But I stuffed me doubts in the to-be-ignored pot, and I ran into the next session like an excited child with its first finger printing, and I proudly declaimed, medically speaking, onions will only get you so far. Terry took a moment to reassess any previous diagnosis he might have made, and then he asked me an important question. What? I told him I'd heard this beautiful thing, this soft thing. He told me I needed to start introducing my topics before I spoke about them. Rub salt Nick Gregg's pasty. He asked me that also cliched question. And how does that make you feel? And by the end of the session, we'd learnt an important lesson. My therapist's approval isn't a substitute for a dead parent's approval. It's a dead dad, long story, another time. Look, I realise there's probably at least one of you itching to tell everybody else that, medically speaking, onions will only get you so far as a line from the film and the play, Lady in the Van by Alan Bennett. I know. But how do you think I felt? 5 years after having my aural awakening, sat in the dark to realise my beautiful soft thing was Mr. Bennett's beautiful soft thing. But who knew? Culture in a shopping centre. Now, I went back and I was starting to get better at the whole listening thing. I was catching the odd bewildered shopper in Aldi arguing with themselves about the price of ski pants in July, or outside Ann Summers a suggestive he'd a better stock naughty drawer than me, and they weren't all just leftovers from an ex. But there's certain people who understand that one. Regular visits to coffee shops can become expensive. And if only to reduce your kind of financial expenditure, go for a mooch. You might as well. You're in a shopping centre. Now, initially, go for the shops you already know, because you'll instinctively know if the customers are bemused, confused, or ready to have a cry in the change room cubicles. We've all done it. Oh, come on. Everybody has a when I'm sitting down notch on their belt. It's a pity about the conjunctivitis, but the eye patch really suits you. Oh shit! Wait. Sorry, I meant to do this bit first. I realised that when you tell people that you do therapy, they will tend to be thinking, what's he doing therapy for? Why is he doing therapy? Oh my God, what's he doing therapy for? Oh shite, this is going to get gloomy, isn't it? The story goes, I used to be a performance poet. By that I don't mean I was a funny one that rhymed, I was one of those serious ones that didn't rhyme. But I didn't say sincere stuff about stuff you already sympathise with. If I had a central message, it was, is there any point to all of this, including me? Is anyone really right? And maybe we should just be nice, but not in a Russell Brand kind of way, because that's just unrealistic. Like his hair. I am in no way jealous. I'll give you an example of the seriousness. I once wrote a show called How I Learned Everything I Know About Postmodernism from a Comic Book and Its Effect on My Life, or Bob for short. It was a look at the destruction of religious belief as a necessary byproduct of our evolutionary-like steps in thinking since entering the high-speed global communication age. Shortly after that show, I was struck down with quite a serious illness. Coincidence? I think so. I was struck down with fibromyalgia! I find it best if you introduce your long-term chronic health conditions like you're introducing an American wrestler. It breaks that palpable tension that occurs when you say the name of your illness and it has just too many syllables to be anything other than shite and possibly contagious. It's definitely one of those things. Poke me afterwards and find out. So if you've never heard of it, you don't know what it is, don't worry about it. I didn't before I got it. It's not actually an illness, it's a syndrome, and that's a fancy word for a party pack of plague frogs. Like, the first little frog's called pain. And I don't mean nice, leafy, suburban, Buddhist centre pain. I mean proper grit your teeth and try not to think about what you're thinking about pain. Like in group therapy work, they will try and get you to visualise your pain in a nice, funny way. The closest I could get was granny ninjas with knitting needles for fingers, just sort of slowly stabbing me all day. And it just never works as an image. I did prefer when occasionally I got weird ankle pains. You know those little bad taste bears? Somebody always gives it as an inappropriate gift as a Christmas present in the office party, and they're always in S&M gear. I like to try and imagine them sort of going to town on my ankles. One would be flogging, another one would be tightening things. And sometimes other people's pain is weird to listen to. It can be difficult and strange, so that's why I don't tend to make jokes about it. The next one is chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue. Now, for those of you who aren't medically trained, that's always sleepy. And it's not quite as cute as it sounds. Think delusionally drunk, angry young frog that stayed up past its bedtime. The third one is morning stiffness, and not what you were thinking. Real medical condition, by the way, however suggestive that was. Like, I'm properly useless in the morning. Takes 3 cups of coffee, 7 cigarettes and 4 visits to the toilet before I feel like a little frog that's found sobriety. And some mornings that can be like a lethal isn't a good word to use about chronic health condition. Let's say life altering. Like, so much so I found I had more important things to worry about than poetry. Like, obviously I didn't stop performing because I've got classic low self-esteem issues. And I experimented with different art forms, and then I found improvisation. It's the most fibro-friendly art form in the world. No writing, no editing, no rehearsing, just show up and talk shite. Oh my God, I loved it so much I created a religion. I became the Reverend Conor A of the Holy Church of the Improvised Word. The practical, artistic and psychosexual purposes of the dressing up as the priest have yet to be fully resolved. Actually, it was somebody asked me a question about my artistic process as the priest. They asked me a question that kind of changed my life. They came up to me after a gig and was like, "Excuse me, Conor, we were pondering your artistic process and we were wondering, why do you hate yourself so much?" I know we weren't the kind of friends for that sort of talk. But in their defence, I had just done a 20-minute improvised piece about mass murderers Fred and Rose West going to a post-evangelical prayer meeting in Birmingham in the mid-90s. So, contextually, an appropriate question. Now, it didn't change my life straight away. I'm not stupid enough to listen to poets. But it did sort of create a little kind of, a slow puncture in my lilo of denial, or as I like to call it, the good ship. I'm grand. But the truth of the matter was, and still is, I wasn't grand. I was struggling on a holistic level. People are always coming up to me, "Oh, Conor, don't let the fibro break you. Keep getting back up on the horse." There's a lot of junkies and jockeys where I live. Hewn. I've changed in 40 years. But the truth of the matter was, and still is, my metaphorical horse is actually the donkey from the board game Buckaroo. You'll never know when it goes off. Where were we? Buckaroo in a board game. Yeah, eventually I had to stop. And I stopped fighting the fibro, I stopped breaking myself for applause, I stopped taking those late night lonely train replacement bus services from a gig in Hull to 2 skinheads and their outrageously racist granny. And I just stopped and I went into therapy. Very natural, artistic cliche. But look, I was unemployed, I had nothing better to do in the afternoons, and I found one who was willing to see me for less than minimum wage. And more importantly, I was desperate. Now, when I say therapy, I mean the sort, when you start to take it seriously, they will genuinely say things like this: "We'd like you to stay out of a relationship for the next 2 years." I wasn't fucking depressed enough as it was. But a compliment, they thought I was capable of getting into a relationship. It's okay, because they offer you an alternative. They suggest you get a plant. And if you can keep that alive for a year, then you can get a pet. If you keep that alive for a year, then you might be ready for a human relationship. If you're in my home, you would realise I am top of the class at keeping plants alive. Not so good with cats. I'm on my second one. Jamie number 2. Jamie number 1 had to move to the country. I've been told to add this phrase, I don't think it's required, but I've been told to add this phrase to the end of that sentence, through no fault of my own. It just didn't want to live with me anymore. It was a very sad day. But like, when I started the therapy, I presumed I was going in because of the whole fibro thing. It turned out I had a couple of pre-existing issues. Namely, I was shit at life. But of course it was. I'd spent a couple of years trying to be a professional performance poet. Like, in sessions, when I wasn't kind of talking about living with fibromyalgia, I was wasting sessions going on about I'm being an artist and needing to express myself, and how I was going to be the first person in the world to ever finish all 12 weeks of The Artist's Way. Eventually, Terry stopped me mid-modelling, and he said, I think I know what's wrong with you. I was like, tell me, what is it? I think you might be suffering from MAD. And I was like, oh, sweet Jesus, brilliant, that's only one syllable. What is it? And please let it not be my fault. He said, you might be suffering from moaning artist disease. Sarcastic fucker. So, in accordance with information I've provided to my disabilities benefit provider, I have to have a break about every 15 or 20 minutes. So at this point I had been hoping to introduce you to Terry, because I felt like he could better explain me to you. But it turns out no matter how much he slides his sliding scale, I can't afford his hourly rate for public speaking. So I got this owl to perform a short piece that Terry wrote. If you're wondering, that's his son over there. He's a weekend dad. If you want to see the state of the relationship between the mum and the dad, have a look at the picture. Some of you might now also be worrying that this will legitimately become one of those pain, let me tell you about pain, or another one of those here's a shopping list of everyone who's ever wronged me and other reasons why I don't get invited to family occasions. It's not one of those shows. It turns out I was getting some of the artist therapy thing out of my system when I was dressing up as the priest. Who knew? So from here on out, I was a little worried that like I might overshare or be too brutally honest. So I got Terry to vet the show, and he's reassured me after some quite heavy edits that I should come across as a nice guy who, all things considered, is surprisingly stable. So from here on out, it's all Aldi own brand owl epiphanies. Actually, so Terry got a bone stuck in the Bernard Shaw. That's owl rhyming slang for craw. He was a bit worried about my fascination with exploding couples, so he sent me to hunt for the happy couples. And I hunted the happy couples, but the truth is, content couples don't say much. Well, much of interest to an eavesdropper. Now, couples in that early, blissful, beginning phase of a relationship, oh my God, we want to impress each other and everybody else about how in love we are. They're great for eavesdropping and they're easy to spot. They're holding hands in a shopping centre on a Saturday, even though it's completely impractical. And they're not just stoically holding hands because that's what social convention dictates. No, they'll be swinging their arms, stopping all willy-nilly anywhere they like just to lean in for an unnecessary kiss, and all the while showering themselves with a lemonade fountain of compliments. I'm not against compliments or other people's happiness. It's just I don't get compliments like you people. I like your socks. You've got a pleasantly shaped head. You smell like a sexy ice cream, all lavender and lemon. No, instead I get things like, via text. Oh, Conor, my lovely, you are indeed a special kind of strange. Kiss, kiss. That was somebody I was dating. Look, if you can stand the saccharine-scented bubblegum gush of it all, you will hear things like this. Knowing that much about Batman shouldn't be sexy, but it is. I love you so much I'd commit fraud in your name. Terry says that's not a healthy expression of love. Says this one is. Let's just go home and steal next door's paddling pool and drink till they call the cops. Yeah, I know it's not real. That isn't healthy either. This one is. You know the biscuits in the top drawer that you think I don't know you steal from? Well, I put them as much as like listening to couples and in therapy talking about the hard work it takes to make a relationship work. Before you can even get to the hard work, there's the prequel, dating, which will be obvious I'm not good at. Like, for me it's a kind of grey, fuzzy, semi-theoretical place. Like, I've been on them, but on like my ownership of cats, I've never been on a second one, where I can only presume this is the kind of thing that happens. I've never said this to anyone before, but yeah, I'll go camping with you. And then you get married. I don't really know, like I'm obviously not a relationship guru, but from listening to public talking about dating, I feel reassured I'm not the only one making mistakes. I presumed a local source of honey was a euphemism. It wasn't. I know it's not romantic, but at least we both got armrests. Do I have to delete all the pictures of my cat from my phone? It's only a first date. Now, these things were giving me hope. My eHarmony profile had reached the state of inertia that scientists only thought possible inside a vacuum. So Terry suggested maybe instead of trying to solve the Rubik's Cube that is relationships, that maybe I should set my sights a little lower and try and make some friends. You see, because I stopped performing, I lost a lot of friends. Okay, that's not the truth. When I got fibromyalgia, I lost a lot of friends. And I kind of rationalise it, say, that's how it is in a big city. When you're not seen, you get forgotten about. And I justify it. I ask myself, had I been any better to disabled people when I'd been able-bodied? Again, not the truth. I lost a lot of friends because of how I was managing myself and the fibro. You see, somewhere between a Loose Women special on Danny Dyer and my afternoon painkiller, I'd forgotten how to be a friend. Like, Terry asked me what I thought being a friend meant now, and I didn't really know anymore. And then I remember hearing someone say this: I want you to become someone I can say, do you remember when to? I wanted that. Terry said if I wanted that, then I was going to have to do better than I'm grand and a self-deprecating comment. Seemingly people want more than that from their friends. They want at least a little emotional honesty. Like, at the time, I didn't know I was having proper nameable emotions. Everybody else did. I was just sort of barreling through it, and I'm grand and an occasional cry at the top of the stairs, which isn't easy when you've only got access to a communal stairwell and there's a 2-week waiting list. Very unhappy building. But now, having gone through some of the therapeutic process, I've come to realise I have emotions just like you people. Now, learning your emotions as an adult, it's not an easy process to describe. So me and Terry made this short dramatic reenactment.
Hello, Conor. How are you feeling today?
I'm grand.
Now, Conor, we've both agreed that isn't an answer. So, how are you feeling today?
I don't know, stuff.
Okay, just for today, let's try a different approach. How does what you're feeling sound? Let it out as a sound. Now that's how you feel about the question. Let's try again. How does how you're feeling sound? No words, just the sound.
Okay. No.
Okay, that's good.
No.
Do it longer.
No.
Keep go. Take a breath. Now, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling lonely. What's creepy?